everybody, and welcome to another ASMR video here on the channel. In this evening's video, as you can tell by the title, we have another facts video. On the channel I've done quite a few history videos on the various world wars and other wars throughout history. So I thought this evening let's combine wars and facts to, funnily enough, do facts about wars. But what I've done for tonight's video is I've tried to find websites and sources where it's not like, World War II started in 1939. Like, I wanted to find kind of like quite quirky facts about wars that you're more likely to be unfamiliar with. But hopefully you find this bit relaxing anyways and enjoy the facts. America fights no one and still loses. When a Japanese force took control of the island of Kiska in Alaska with 500 men, the US decided to send in 35,000 to reclaim it, despite all evidence that the Japanese had left the island abandoned for weeks. US troops swooped in and managed to lose 122 men by friendly fire, mines, and just straight up vanishing in the forest. Hitler's War of the Worlds kicks off World War II. The day before World War II officially kicked off, Hitler had a German radio station false flagged in order to whip up support for the war. A Polish farmer was kidnapped, dressed as a soldier, shot in the head and left in front of the station as evidence. SS officer Alfred Naujoks then took over the German radio station and transmitted the message. The broadcasting station is in Polish hands, before cutting the transmission. Next, British troops lower their defences to watch ball game. A neighbouring Native American tribe lulled the Brits into a false sense of security for years by playing games of Lacrosse outside Fort Michilimackinac. One day, when most of the British soldiers were outside to view the game, a ball soared over the walls of the fort and a few members of the tribe went to get it through the open gates. Soon the whole tribe was behind the walls, stocked up on weapons, and began slaughtering the people inside. I'm not too sure why I'm laughing saying that I'm slaughtering the people inside, but it's kind of funny. A clumsy camel sparked 40 years of war. The Al-Basas War kicked off in the year 494, when a hapless camel wandered into a different herd, belonging to a rival tribe. When the owner of that herd killed the camel thinking it was his own, the original owner responded by killing the rival tribe's chief. It's a little bit of an escalation. Russian equivalent of a horse girl leads to the death of over 500,000 troops. Despite his shaky track record during World War II, Semyon Budyonny was named Commander-in-Chief of southwestern and southern fronts in Ukraine under Joseph Stalin. Stuck in the mindset of a World War I officer, Budyonny believed the might of a soldier on horseback was all the Soviets needed to secure victory, and so he led a charge against the Germans and their tanks. 665,000 Soviet men were slaughtered, that word again, giving Hitler his greatest military victory ever. I mean, Hitler can't really claim that. That's like, playing squad battles on beginner, like, it's not really a win, is it? Macedonia murders civilians to impress the US. 6 months after 9/11, Interior Minister Lyub Boskovsky came up with an elaborate bloody screenplay in hopes of joining the war on terror. He had a group of migrants rounded up, handed guns and dumped out of a van. An unwitting special police unit was then notified of the group of terrorists and rushed to mercilessly massacre them. Gosh, that's horrible. Next, Japan builds Battleship, floods their own city. Japan was determined to outgun us on every front, even before their war with the US began. This led to them building a battleship, Musashi, twice the size of our formidable Iowa. When they finally launched this behemoth, the water displacement was so massive that a 4-foot-high tidal wave flooded Nagasaki. The Prime Minister edits a memo, starts a war. In 1870, Otto von Bismarck published a memo from French Ambassador Count Vincent Benedetti, OVB, however, edited out all of the pleasantries, which made it read like a personal insult. Tensions rose and France declared war on Prussia a week later. British sink their own warship during a showcase. In an attempt to show off the aquatic mastery of the British fleet, Vice Admiral George Tryon concocted a plan to have 2 fleets of warships synchronise a turnabout in the water. This wasn't a complicated manoeuvre, but Tryon got his math wrong and the 2 elite ships, the Victoria and the Camperdown, collided, causing the Victoria to sink. Italian commander ignores World War II for music. Italian General Ubaldo Soddu had a bigger appetite for pasta than war. For his entire 4-week career as general, Soddu would retire to his tent early to compose music for imaginary movies, while a world war raged outside. The defeats under General Soddu led Mussolini to call on Hitler for support, delaying the German invasion of Russia, which ultimately ended with a victory for the Allies. Next we have the Pastry War. In 1838, a French baker living in Mexico had his pastry shop damaged by Mexican soldiers. The owner got French King Louis Philippe to demand repayment. When Mexico refused, the French Navy blockaded the entire Gulf Coast, leading Mexico to declare war. An ill-timed siesta leads to Mexico losing Texas. Riding high off his victory at the Alamo, Mexican General Santa Anna believed he was untouchable by the Americans. In San Jacinto, as the larger Mexican army napped, a single rank of the Texan army snuck up and found no guards were even posted to keep watch. The Texans overran the camp and won in 18 minutes. The Great Guano War. Spain and Peru got into an international kerfuffle after a local brawl injured a few Spaniards. The Spanish Navy took over a series of Peruvian islands that produced 60% of their national income via collection and refinement of guano. History's most famous general is killed by his own men. Thomas Stonewall Jackson was a legendary Confederate general during the Civil War, known for his balls-to-the-wall style of overwhelming the enemy, which ultimately was his downfall. As Stonewall Jackson was riding back to his encampment from behind enemy lines, his own men mistook him as a Union soldier full of lead. God of War. This is called God of War. In 1958, Iceland began expanding their oceanic borders in order to gain a monopoly on cod fishing. First it was 4 miles offshore, then 12, then ultimately 200 miles. Britain wasn't having any of that, and led their gigantic navy to violently bully Iceland into relaxing their borders. American troops fight each other and give up. During the War of 1812, the British led a nighttime ambush in Stony Creek. American General John Chandler rode into the melee, was knocked off his horse, and woke up soon after confused. Chandler ran to the artillery emplacement to rally his troops, but found only British soldiers. His second-in-command rushed in and was similarly captured. American troops fought each other and retreated, leaving the British as the victors. A local mayor declares war on France. When a Spanish king was insulted by some French folks in 1883, a small-town Spanish mayor declared war on all of France. The declaration remained in effect for over 100 years, until a modern Spanish king visited the French town, kissed some babies, and negotiated a peace. Zanzibar goes to war with Britain for 40 minutes. After the Sultan of Zanzibar suddenly died, or was murdered, his second son seized the throne in defiance of their treaty with Britain. 5 British Navy battleships pulled up to their shores and demanded the Pretender step down by 9 a.m. August 27th. The Sultan fortified his palace with hilariously outdated 17th century cannons, but the British kept their word, and at 9 a.m. the palace was shelled for 40 minutes, killing 500 and forcing the Sultan to flee. Apologies if you can hear my neighbours, they were nice and quiet and now they are not. Next is the Flagstaff War. Natives in the New Zealand town of, Kororareka didn't take kindly to British troops raising their flag there. Chief Honahege chopped down the flagpole, then 3 more that replaced it. When the 4th was erected, Hege led a bloody rebellion that kicked off a 10-month war. And last on this page, Italy falls for the Trojan horse in 860 AD. Viking chieftain Astane wanted to take on the Italian port city of Luna, but the defences looked too formidable for a straight-on attack. The Vikings devised a plan and told the people of Luna that Astane had died, but not before he converted to Christianity, requesting a Christian burial within the city. During this false funeral, Astane popped out of his coffin, killed the presiding bishop, and sacked the city. Now this page did give sources to those facts, but like with all my fact videos I say, do take them with a pinch of salt. Some of them likely have embellished the truth, some of them may be true, and some of them may be based on truth. Still fun regardless. So now we move on to some World Wars 2 specific facts, and it's titled Facts About World War II That Sound Made Up, but aren't. So, Spanish double agent Juan Pujol received medals from both Germany and Britain, despite only being on Britain's side. More people need to know about Juan Pujol, a Spanish-born spy who hoodwinked Germany even though he had no formal training in espionage. Leading up to World War II, fascist Spain under the rule of Franco had become allies with Germany. But Pujol, a veteran of the Spanish Civil War, hated totalitarianism in all its forms and devoted himself to the Allied cause. After Germany and Great Britain went to war in 1939, Pujol approached the British and offered his services as a spy, but since he had no experience he was turned down. Pujol wasn't discouraged, and he decided to engage in espionage against Germany all on his own. He approached German officials in Madrid, claiming to be in command of a network of 27 spies that could obtain intelligence about the British war effort. In reality, this intelligence was deliberate misinformation embellished with information he gleaned from encyclopedias. He fed the Germans a steady diet of nonsense until 1942, when he again approached the British to offer his services. The British had discovered that a rogue double agent in the Iberian Peninsula had been feeding the Germans misinformation, and realised it was Pujol. This time they brought him into MI5. Since Pujol was such a convincing actor, MI5 nicknamed him Garbo, after American movie star Greta Garbo. The Germans never realised Pujol's true allegiance, and he continued to misinform them until World War II ended. In 1944, Germany even awarded him the Iron Cross for his efforts. The British also awarded him the MBE in 1944, making him the only individual to receive awards from both sides during World War II. After the conflict, word of his accomplishments eventually did get out, and Pujol moved to Venezuela. Fearing retribution from Nazi fugitives living in South America, Pujol arranged for MI5 to declare him deceased. He managed to live in secret until a British journalist tracked him down in the 1980s. Apparently, a biopic about Pujol is in development starring Oscar Isaac. Helena Bonham Carter's grandmother was on an SS Most Wanted list. Thousands of badly needed troops were used as extras to film a German war epic based on a play by a Jewish writer. So Hitler and his propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels never gave up on the motion picture as a means of distributing propaganda, even when it was clear the war was lost. In early 1945, as both European fronts were closing in on Berlin, the Third Reich still premiered a state-financed war epic, hoping that it would rally the public to defeat the invaders. In reality, the production of the movie probably hastened the Reich's demise. Kolberg was a dramatisation of an 1807 battle during the Napoleonic Wars, when Napoleon besieged the Pomeranian city. The movie was intended to dramatise the Kolberg citizenry's heroic resistance to a French invasion. To do this, it overlooked some inconvenient truths. Not only did the King of Kolberg fall to Napoleon, but the author of the stage play on which the movie was based was also Jewish. No matter. Production began in 1943 and cost 8 million Reichsmarks, making Kolberg the most expensive film produced during the Third Reich. Its cast included thousands of extras, many of them soldiers diverted from combat at a time when the Germans were losing territory on multiple fronts. The production was photographed in colour using Agfa film. When the movie finally premiered in January 1945, so much of Germany had been bombed that few movie theatres still stood, and few Germans could Soviets took the German-controlled city of Kolberg. The Potsdam Conference stripped Kolberg from Germany, and today it's part of Poland. A bear served in a Polish artillery company. In 1942, members of the 3522 Company of the Polish II Corps were evacuated from the Soviet Union to Iran. During their stay, the men picked up a rather unusual recruit, a Syrian brown bear they named Wojtek. The bear cub was officially enlisted as a private in the unit and served alongside the men in Italy from 1943 to 1944. He mixed freely with the men and apparently enjoyed a beer or two after a hard day's work. He earned his keep by helping to carry heavy ammunition, boxes that normally required 4 men to lift were hoisted onto trucks with ease by Wojtek. He became immensely popular with the men of his unit and a celebrity among the Allied troops, who saw the strange sight of a bear loading ammunition. Wojtek was promoted to corporal in recognition of his stellar service to the unit, and his likeness was used in the company's emblem. After the war, Wojtek was discharged from the army and lived peacefully for the rest of his days in Edinburgh Zoo. I like that. That's so good. Short one here. More Americans perished in World War II pilot training accidents than in battle in all wars before the Civil War. The last Japanese World War II soldier to surrender did so in 1974. After World War II, it's estimated that thousands of Japanese soldiers continued to fight even after their nation had already surrendered. The phenomenon of war holdouts isn't unique to the Japanese military. It's happened in numerous wars throughout history. Often it's the result of the reality of fighting wars over large distances, since it can be difficult to get the word out that the conflict is over. But the Japanese stragglers are unique because of how long some of them held out. In some cases, Japanese soldiers waged one-man guerrilla wars for decades. Hiro Onoda is probably the most famous of these holdouts, and his case attracted international attention when he was discovered hiding in the Philippines in the 1970s. But he wasn't the final holdout. That would be Teruo Nakamura, an indigenous Taiwanese who joined the Japanese military at the start of World War II. When it ended, he and several other soldiers from his unit dispersed into the jungle of Morotai, an island in Indonesia. Nakamura eventually struck out on his own. He survived on fish, whatever vegetables he could cultivate, and whatever food he could forage from nearby farms. When he was finally found in December 1974, the emaciated and terrified Nakamura willingly surrendered, although he did reportedly worry that he would be executed for deserting his post. And a few quick-fire ones to finish off this video. The head of the German SS was given command of an army, which stressed him out so much that he checked into a spa. It says Himmler abandoned his post and checked in at the Hohenleichen Sanatorium to recover from the experience. From there, he attempted to negotiate a separate peace treaty with the advancing Allies to save his life, but this was rejected. He tried to flee, was captured, and eventually took his own life. Germany started building a gigantic cannon to shoot projectiles across the sea at England. And finally, Hitler was so that is sadly all I have time for this evening. If you did enjoy this video, let me know. Give the video a like, because I kind of feel like I could definitely do a 1 hour video on this, and maybe pick 6 major walls and do like 10-minute chunks each of crazy facts, because there's definitely way more out there. So let me know if that is something you'd like to see, and we'll do that in the not so distant future. 1 hour of unique war facts kind of thing. So, but yeah, hopefully you found this video interesting, entertaining, and of course super relaxing. If you did enjoy this video and you're able to, then please do give it a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and until the next video,